Hillendale Farms. It bills itself as one of the country's top egg producers, raising over 20 million chickens for eggs. This is the fire that killed around 100,000 chickens. The fire happened last Saturday, and no cause has been reported yet. Connecticut officials confirmed Monday it's one of several such fires that have killed millions of chickens around the country over the past decade. The agency also said the impact on egg prices was expected to be minimal. Okay. Again, we're not saying that this is related, but we're not saying not saying that either. But here is another dot that we're connecting for you, namely that people who own chickens are still reporting that their hens are not producing lately on store-bought feed. So this is a follow-up to a story we brought you 2 weeks ago. And these same chicken farmers and more now are coming out saying, we are experiencing the same things. Our chickens simply are not producing eggs anymore after using the store-bought feed. Listen.
So there is a debate online right now of whether or not chicken feed and what brand you're feeding your chickens is causing them to not lay as well anymore. So I want to show you something, and you can do with this information whatever you will.
Everything your chicken gets stored in what's called their crop. There it gets broken down so the chicken can pass it out of its body. This is another reason why grit is really important, because it helps to break those things down. Chickens go number 1 and number 2 from the same place. So soft.
I recorded that video last summer. I've been adding water and soaking my chicken feed since I got them, and they're about 2 years old now. The water expands the feed, it stretches it longer, you can warm it up, you can cool it down, it's easier to digest. But somewhere between summer and fall of last year, the feed quit absorbing the water. It would sit 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and a lot of it would still be in pellet form. And I'm speaking specifically about Producer Pride pellets from Tractor Supply. So I quit adding water because it was pointless, and I would give the pellets dry to my chickens, and there would be times where they would let it sit for days and not touch it. The temperatures outside had dropped, they were molting, the feed wasn't doing what I wanted it to, so I changed the one thing I had control over, and I started buying feed from a local feed store. The difference is noticeable immediately. As soon as you open the bag, because it smelled so much better. I don't know what happened to Producer's Pride at some point. It doesn't have a smell anymore. The one from the local feed store smells great, looks great, has a better color to it, and my birds love it. Now, I'm not saying this is a problem for everyone, and I don't know if they've changed their recipe. This is just my personal experience. Because I don't know about you guys, but on this homestead and this economy, I don't have the time or the money to invest in layers that aren't laying. So yeah, if your chickens have stopped laying, what do you have to lose? Even if you spend a little bit more money on the feed that you would have to buy to replace the feed you're currently using, I'd say it's worth it if you start getting eggs again, and especially right now.
Is the commercial feed the reason so many people's chickens have not been laying at all?
Oh, it's the feed. In fact, I would go so far as to say that chickens are starving if you're feeding them commercial feed. Because, they tell you that if they stop laying eggs, you need to check the food, make sure that they're getting enough, because if they don't get enough food, then they're, obviously they're going to stop laying eggs. It's like when you have, a girl who stops eating, she's starving herself, right? And then her period stops. Kind of the same concept. At least that's how I read it. We didn't know there was anything wrong with our chickens. We thought the reason why they had, dropped in egg production was simply because it was winter. Until the day we decided to give them a bunch of table scraps that we had because we'd had a whole bunch of leftovers. And then the next day we had 14 eggs. It went from 1 egg a day between 9 chickens to 14. Just because we gave them table scraps. You have got to feed your chicken something else, because that commercial feed, I don't know what it is.
Many of his viewers are reporting problems with the Do More brand and the Pride brand. I personally experienced the exact same trouble with the Purina brand. But the last time I purchased, when I was going to make my purchase to switch to this brand, the guy that worked in that department, who I've spoke to many times, indicated to me that Purina makes their house brands. And I haven't flipped this bag over to see if Purina was the maker of it, but nonetheless, people are experiencing their chickens drying up on eggs on these 3 brands. Now, I went back to my original brand, and I am getting chicken eggs that I'm walking around to neighbors trying to get rid of them. I only got 2 chickens. I'm getting 3 eggs a day. This is how I'm getting my 3 eggs. This is what I started on when they were chicks. It was a bit more expensive. I decided it was worth the investment. Flock Party has a very large list of products available, and they're not lacking in the lysine, and I forget the other mineral that would be lacking in the food to make the chicken stop, but for all we know, it could be poison.